everyone, today we are going to go through Unit 43 and 44. So let's start with Unit 43. We are going to learn isn't, haven't, don't. So all these are negatives. Now, if you remember, we use not in negative sentences, and not can be shortened to an apostrophe T. Remember how from positive to negative it becomes am not, so it'll be something like I'm not, right? Apostrophe not. Is will become is not, so it'll be isn't, or apostrophe s not. Are will become are not, aren't, or like this. Was will be was not, shorten it to wasn't. Were will be were not, shortened to weren't. Have will be have not, shortened to haven't. Has will be has not, shortened to hasn't. Will be will not, it will become won't. Can becomes cannot or can't. Could becomes could not or couldn't. Must becomes must not or mustn't. Should becomes should not or shouldn't. Would becomes would not or wouldn't. And this is how you change from positive to negative. Now let's look at the examples at the side. We have I'm not tired. It isn't or it's not raining. So you can use either it isn't or you could say it's not. It doesn't matter which one you use. It's up to you. Both are correct. So it isn't raining or it's not raining. They're both correct and you can choose whichever you want to use. They aren't here or they're not here. You see, the difference is for they aren't, we have are and then the N apostrophe T follows are. But for they're not here, the apostrophe becomes after they. So they apostrophe RE, because essentially this is they are, right? So we become they apostrophe RE, they're not here. Julian wasn't hungry. The shops weren't open. I haven't finished my work. Sue hasn't got a car. We won't be here tomorrow. George can't drive. I couldn't sleep last night. I mustn't forget to phone Jane. You shouldn't work so hard. I wouldn't like to be an actor. So essentially, it is only for is and are that you have the option of becoming isn't or apostrophe s not, and then are becomes aren't or apostrophe are not. For the others, it is fairly straightforward. It becomes, was becomes wasn't. So it's just an apostrophe T. It's only for is and are that you have the option to choose which one you want to use. Now let's move on to part B. We have don't, doesn't, and didn't. So present simple negative will have I, we, you, they will use do not. And you can shorten it to don't. He, she, and it is does not. You use doesn't. And then past simple negative will be I, they, he, she, apostrophe. Everything will be did not. Doesn't matter if it's one person or 10 people, it'll be did. Alright, so did not, didn't. Now let's look at positive to negative. I want to go out. So negative, it will be I don't want to go out. They work hard. They don't work hard. So because all the positive are the do, right? Because they do it. So you don't say I do want to go out. You don't have to say I do want to go out. You can just say I want to go out. But for the negative, because it is already understood that the positive sentence is something to do with do. In the negative, you need to add in don't, doesn't, or didn't. Alright, so they work hard. They don't work hard. Lisa plays the guitar. Lisa doesn't play the guitar. My father likes his job. My father doesn't like his job. I got up early this morning. I didn't get up early this morning. They worked hard yesterday. They didn't work hard yesterday. We played tennis. We didn't play tennis. Emily had dinner with us. Emily didn't have dinner with us. So notice the pattern, how in the negative you have to add in don't, doesn't, or didn't. Okay, and in the positive you don't have to. So another example over here. So if you want to use don't, it'll be look becomes don't look. Wait for me becomes don't wait for me. Okay, so the don't, the doesn't, the didn't will go before the verb. Sometimes do is the main verb. Don't do, doesn't do, didn't do. Example, do something, right? Because doing is an action, do something. Negative form would be don't do anything. So certain sentences you still have to change, like for example, something, you'll have to change to anything. Alright, but this one you'll become more familiar as you use the language more often. So do something becomes don't do anything. Sue does a lot at weekends. It'll become Sue doesn't do much at weekends. I did what you said. I didn't do what you said. Alright, so this is basically what 43 is. It is just, showing you guys and teaching you how to do the negatives. Now, moving on to 44, we'll have questions. Is it? Have you? Do they? Etc. Let's look at part A. So for a positive sentence, we'll say something like you are something, right? So you are eating. But if you want to make that a question, you are going to change the place. So you from number 1 becomes number 2. Are from number 2 becomes number 1. So question will be, are you something? Are you eating? Or you could say, what are you eating? When are you eating? Where are you eating? Alright, all these will become a question just by flipping you and are. In questions, the first verb is are, have, is before the subject. So positive, it will be subject plus verb. I am late. The seat is free. So the verb, alright, is behind, isn't it? Then the subject, I, the seat, she, David, you, they, Paula, they are all at the front, right? She was angry. David has gone. You have got a car. They will be here soon. Paula can swim. And then for a question, it will be verb plus subject. It will be, am I late? Is that seat free? Why was she angry? Where has David gone? Have you got a car? When will they be here? Can Paula swim? So see the difference? You just basically flip the subject and verb. If you flip it, it becomes a question. Remember, the subject is after the first verb. Where has David gone? Alright, not where has gone David. The subject, which is the thing that you're talking about, it can be a person, it can be an item, it can be a place. The topic of your sentence, the subject of your sentence has to come after the first verb. Are those people waiting for something? So here, the subject is those people. Are those people waiting for something? When was the telephone invented? All right, the subject is the telephone. When was the telephone invented? Let's move on to part B. We have do, does, and did. So, present simple questions, we have do for I, we, you, and they, does for he, she, and it. So, do I work or does she work? Past simple questions will be did for everything, just like the one in chapter 43. So, for positive, we have they work hard. Change it to a question. Do they work hard? You watch television. How often do you watch television? Or you could also ask, do you watch television? Chris works hard. Change it to question. Does Chris work hard? She gets up early. You can change it to, does she get up early? Or what time does she get up? They worked hard. Did they work hard? You had dinner. What did you have for dinner? She got up early. What time did she get up? Now, do you see a difference? So for all these, we have work, watch, works, get up, gets up, are all in present tense. So when you make it into a question, you will use do, does, right? Do or does, because the question is also going to be in the present tense. But for all these three examples over here, you can see worked with an ed, had, which is the past tense of has or have, and we have got. All right, so all these are past tense, but got is special because the present tense of got is also got. But she got up early means she's already woken up. So you understand that it is spoken in the past tense. So because all these are in past tense, when you change it to a question, you will use did. All right, so when you're doing your exercise, you have to look at the example and see if they're using present tense or past tense to say the statement. Then when you change it, you can choose for yourself whether you need to use do, does, or did. Sometimes do is the main verb. So do you do? Did he do? What do you usually do at weekends? What does your brother do? He works in a bank. I broke my finger last week. How did you do that? Right? So when do is the main verb, you'll have did and do in the same sentence twice, and this is normal. Now last part, why isn't, why don't. So this will be why plus negative. Where's John? Why isn't he here? Okay, so following why or what, you'll be why isn't, not why he isn't here. It'll be why isn't he here? Why can't Paula come to the meeting tomorrow? Okay, it's not why Paula can't. It has to be why can't Paula. So the verb first and then the subject. Why didn't you phone me last night? Not why you didn't. So why you didn't would be broken English, and in proper English it'll be verb and then the subject. All right, remember that. And that will be all for chapter 44, and I will see you next week.